So good afternoon everyone. For today we are going to talk about the poem entitled The Rhodora on Being Asked Whence is the Flower by Ralph Waldo Emerson. But before we delve into the poem, let's talk about the age of Romanticism. So the age of Romanticism spanning roughly from the late 18th century to the mid 19th century. So in American literature, it was marked by a distinctive focus on nature, individualism, emotional depth, and a rejection of classical form and rationality. Though Romanticism emerged in England than in America, both of these literary traditions shared a core values while also reflecting their unique cultural context. So these are the themes of the Age of Romanticism. We have nature as a source of inspiration, imagination and emotion, the individual subjectivity, rebellion, and revolution. So now let us talk about the author, Ralph Waldo Emerson, 1803 to 1882. So Ralph Waldo Emerson was an American essayist, philosopher, and a poet who played an important role in a movement which was very popular around mid-19th century, and the name of this movement was Transcendentalism. He was a prominent American figure and he tries to develop the relationship between humanity and nature. Now let's move on to our poem, The Rhodora on Being Asked Whence is the Flower by Ralph Waldo Emerson. So let us decode the poem line by line. In May, when sea winds pierced our solitudes, I found the fresh rhodora in the woods, spreading its leafless blooms in a damp nook. Damp nook means damp corner. To please the desert and the sluggish brook. So in the opening stanza, the speaker describes how he found the flower, which is the rhodora, in the month of May. During the time when the winds were blowing from the sea, the place was extremely quiet. So the flower was found in a secluded spot, spreading its flowers without leaves and contributing to the beauty of the lonely surroundings. The purple petals fallen in the pool made the black water with their beauty gay. Gay means happiness. Here might the red bird come his plumes to cool, and court the flower that cheapens his array. So the fallen purple petals of the rhodora creates a contrast with dark waters in the pool, enhancing the beauty, because otherwise the pool was dull. But with the falling of the petals into the pool or pond made it look beautiful. The speaker then visualizes that a red bird is attracted by the flower's beauty and will come to this pool to refresh its plumes, its feathers, and then admire the flower. Rhodora, if the sages ask thee why, this charm is wasted on earth and sky, tell them, dear, that if eyes were made for seeing, then beauty is its own excuse for being. So it is beautiful, no, as the speaker puts it here. The speaker is addressing the flower directly, suggesting that if wise intelligent individuals ever question what is the purpose of your beauty as being a flower, you have to respond by saying that beauty is not wasted, rather it exists for its own sake. You know, you never see a flower, no, defending its purpose on being alive on earth. So the idea of nature of eyes implies the existence of beauty for appreciation. So he's mentioning here about the eyes, trying to say that eyes exist to appreciate the beauty of nature. So beauty exists for its own sake. So towards the end of the poem, no, the speaker says, "Why do worth there, O rival of the rose? I never thought to ask, I never knew, but in my simple ignorance, suppose the self-same power that brought me there brought you." So the final part of the poem, the speaker expresses his ignorance about why the flower exists, but suggests a shared purpose between the speaker and the flower. So both of the speaker and the flower were brought over here by the same force. And then the speaker also acknowledges that the flower is worthy as its rival, which is the rose, in terms of beauty. So there's a lot of flower no that adds up to the beauty of the nature, not just the rose. So each individual is unique. So we don't need to compare between the two individuals, rather than we should appreciate it for its own sake. So these are the themes of the poem. We have intrinsic beauty and nature's wonder. So in intrinsic beauty, it highlights that true beauty does not need an audience to exist. Beauty is valuable and of itself, independent of human recognition or admiration. The nature is not tied to any external validation. So for the nature's wonders, no, nature's wonders is illustrated through the description of the rhodora. So the rhodora is a humble yet striking flower found in the woods. Emerson portrays nature as a source of boundless beauty and mystery, which is true. The nature in its quiet elegance is depicted as self-sufficient, reflecting the transcendental belief in the divine presence within the natural world. So for the structure of the poem, we have iambic tetrameter because of the 4 iambic feet per line, and iambic trimeter because of the 3 iambic feet per line. So for the rhyme scheme, we have ABAB in each stanza, where the first and the third line rhymes. And also the second and the fourth line rhymes with each other. We also have imagery and symbolism. Emerson uses vivid imagery to depict the rhodora, a flowering plant, and its natural settings. The poem reflects on the idea of beauty and intrinsic value, questioning why beauty exists if it is not seen or appreciated by others. So before I end my report, let me give you a question. What does the poem suggest about the importance of beauty even if no one sees it? So that would be all for my report. I hope you learned something and thank you for listening. Bye!